Do you believe that you can make a difference in the world or in people's lives? Do you believe that you can have an impact on people? Now, if you say yes, why is that? If you say no, why is that? I believe that everyone can make a difference. It doesn't have to be something big and grandiose. There are little things that we can do that can have an effect on someone else. Okay? So, with that being said, I have a quote for you, and please let me know what you think, if you agree or disagree with this. Right? So, this quote is from William James, and the quote says, it says that act as if what you do makes a difference. It does. Act as if what you do makes a difference. It does. Now, there are so many demands on our lives, right? So, because there's so much going on in our lives and in the world, we might not think about the impact we can have because there's so many other things that we have to think about that making an impact is not a priority. It's not that we don't want to make a difference. It's not that we don't want to have a positive effect on others. It's just not something that is easy for us to focus on, right? Because there's so many other things that get in the way of that. So making a difference is not always realistic. I understand that. But as I said before, there are ways to make a difference that won't stress you out. For example, giving someone a compliment. Giving someone a compliment can make a big difference to someone because you never know what that person is going through. People fake it. They act like everything is fine. You know, when you ask people, oh, how are you today? How are you? What do most people usually say? Something along the lines of, I'm fine, I'm good, not bad, I'm okay. But they're not okay. They're not fine. But they don't want to give you the longer answer because it's too much, right? I don't want to go into detail about the things that I'm struggling with, particularly with someone that I work with, right? So it's a lot easier to just say, I'm fine, I'm okay, even when I'm not okay and I'm not fine. And there are times that I would like to share more, but it's just too much. And some people ask you, you know how it is, right? Some people will ask you how you're doing, but they don't really care, right? It's just a formality. So, one of the things you can do is give someone a compliment. And you know, people may not tell you that it makes a difference, but it does. I'm telling you, the small things make a difference. Holding the door for someone. That's something I like to do actually. You know, I talked to a friend about this, about like how women can be chivalrous too. And I like to be chivalrous. I like opening the doors for people, letting people go before me. Not often. The problem with doing stuff like that is that it's not reciprocated. So many times, specifically in Korea, as an ESL teacher, people don't do that. That's not a formality. So they will just let the door hit you. The door just hits you right in the face. And it's not because they have something against you. It's just not something that they do. But I still do it anyway. I just don't do it as much as I used to. And I find that some people do appreciate that and they will say thank you. So you just never know. So that's one example, right? Small acts of kindness, compliments. So those are just some of the things that you can do, right? And so think about that for yourself. How can you make a difference? Think about the times when someone did something for you and how that made you feel. I think there's a quote that says something about like, people don't remember what you do or say, but they remember how you make them feel. Something like that, right? People remember how you make them feel. And how you make a person feel can make a huge difference on their day, on their week, on their month, maybe even their year. As a teacher, when I first started teaching, I never thought that it can make a difference. I respected my teachers, but in general, I didn't really look at them as like powerful and impactful for the most part. That came later. Like looking back on it, they did have an impact on me, but at the time, I didn't really think it was a big deal. It's just, oh, that's their job. Plus, I thought that being a teacher was really boring and that they didn't have lives. Now, as a teacher, I realize that that is totally wrong. And one of the things that I began to see over time as a teacher is that, wait a minute, what I do does make a difference. The thing is, and this is just an example, so this just doesn't apply to those of you who are teachers. This is for everybody. Your job, what you do in the workplace, it makes a difference. You may think you're just clocking in and clocking out, but your skills are valuable. That's why you were chosen for that position. Over the course of my time as a teacher, I have not really received tons of compliments from students. Oh, like you're a great teacher. You know, thank you so much for teaching me. I've gotten that. In Korea, there's something called Teacher's Day, which is cool because in the States, there's no Teacher's Day. Why is there no Teacher's Day all over the world, right? Teachers play such a vital role in kids' lives. They basically are the second parent, in my opinion. But once in a while, I'll get that student who says something that just reminds me that what I do does make a difference. I had a student who I struggled with, and she had like an attitude problem. And one day she said to me, I hate you. I hate teacher. Her grammar was a little off. So she stormed out. And then she came back. She opened the door and said, I hate teacher. And of course that hurt me, but it was also, I know this may sound weird, but it was a little bit comical because it was so dramatic. But at the same time, I did feel bad about that. But you know what? A couple months later, that same student that hated me ended up loving me. I ended up being her favorite teacher. When I went on vacation and I went back to New York for a couple weeks, she and another student were like, oh, how long are you going to go? How long are you going to be there? When are you coming back? And when I came back, the manager told me that she kept asking when I was coming back. And I was like, wow, she really does care. I really do have some kind of impact on her life, right? And I've also received some little letters here and there, very thoughtful letters, and students sharing some of the ways that they just enjoyed my class and my teaching style. But enough about me. It's not about me. It's about you and me. It's about us. You can make a difference. This doesn't just apply to work. This applies to your friends, your family, and yes, even to strangers. Doing big, grandiose things is not realistic, right? But there are small things that we can do to make someone feel better. And you know what? It's okay if they don't tell you, but you'll feel better about yourself, right? So, like the quote says, you have to act like what you do makes a difference. It does. Even if no one tells you. Give people their flowers now, because you never know. I don't want to get too deep into it, but you just never know, especially with your friends and family. Give them their flowers now. It will mean so much to them, and you will feel so much better as well. I hope this helps. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.